ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। So welcome to IBC Siksha Bhagavad Gita reading. We are going to start today with the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Let me open one more. Okay. So we studied the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, um, wherein the demoniac and the divine qualities were discussed. So okay. We'll just do a quick recap. 16th. So here are the divine qualities: fear, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, simplicity, austerity, study of Vedas, freedom from anger, freedom from covetousness. In this whole divine qualities, everything is achieved if when one becomes devotee of Krishna. When one becomes devotee of Krishna, all of these things is achieved. Then these are the demonic qualities, less in number, but they are very destructive: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. And then Krishna talks, how these demonic qualities they think there is no God, there is only meant for our enjoyment. Hmm? And they think, so much wealth I have, I will create so many schemes, I will earn $1 million today, then $10 million tomorrow, then a $30 million day after tomorrow, like that. I will defeat my enemies, I will do some charity for show purpose, and then I will rejoice. They're bound by anxieties and illusion, network illusion. They they have no idea about spiritual life, and whatever religious also they are doing, then they will be a show bottle thing. It won't be true to their nature, it won't be honest. Then they're bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger. Then they will start their own religion, make money, abuse people, which we are seeing in today's life, right? In today's news, every year we get this news: so called Babaji, so called organization, this thing happened, that thing happened. What Krishna does to them? He gives them repeated birth, and that puts them into lower species of life. And he tells them lust, greed, anger is the gates to hell. Entry. If we need entry to hell, we need these tickets: lust, greed, and anger. And then Krishna gives very important. He says, everything is there in the scriptures, Vedas. Hmm? One should follow the Vedas. If one doesn't follow, then there will be no happiness also. What to speak of perfection? There won't be any happiness, no perfection, and the destination will be really, lower species. Therefore, what is duty, what is not duty, one should know from the Vedas, and one should act gradually to be elevated. Okay. So this is a summary of 16th chapter. Now 17th chapter is division of faith. So Krishna talked about two people, divine and demoniac, faithful and faithless. But then there are people who have some faith and who don't have enough faith, right? They have some faith. Where do they stand, right? Those who are in between faithful and in between faithlessness. Where do they stand? If their faith is not so much developed in the Shastras, then where do they stand? How things happen in their life? How they can slowly come to perfection? So that is Arjuna's question, and Krishna gives the 17th chapter. The answer is 17th chapter. So let's get into it. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their imagination? So some faith they have on scriptures, and they are not following everything from the scriptures. They are inventing also something. There is some imagination also. Are they in goodness, passion, or ignorance? So what will happen to them? What is their um, destination? In the fourth chapter, 39th verse, it is said that the people that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scripture is called asura, demon. One who follows the scriptural injunction is called deva or demigod. Now, if one with faith follows some rule which are not mentioned in scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared by Krishna. So in Kali Yuga, in present world, right, we see a lot of people with this in this category, right? They don't follow scriptural injunctions, or they follow very little things, and then they create their own, rituals and all that. Then what will happen to them, right? Don't you see such people who don't know about the scriptures, but they invent something?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So what happens to them? Like, in Africa, they don't worship Krishna, nor do they worship any other bona fide religion, but they sometimes worship sun, the tree, the land. How do they advance in their spiritual life, in their progress? That is the question. So this is the doubt of Arjuna to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of god by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? What is this worship? Do such a person attains perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate them to the highest perfectional stage? Do those who do not follow the rules and regulation of scriptures but have faith in something and worship gods and demigods and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna. So there are many Babajis, right? There are many saints and all that, Sai Baba and all that. What will happen to them? How their progress will be? That is the question, right? So what do you think is the answer? Any comment?
Prabhuji, in ninth chapter, no, I think ninth chapter, Krishna says that people who worship demigod also, he only sanctions whatever they desire through demigod. So maybe Krishna help them.
Yeah, but
So,
here they worship sometimes man also.
okay.
For cheating people, they will be degraded. The person who is following also will be degraded from his position, and the person who is leading also.
Yeah, but sometimes some Babajis are good. They don't break four regulative principles.
They will get a better birth, Prabhuji, in their next life, maybe.
So they will progress according to the modes that they have cultivated. Okay, they will progress according to the modes.
They
So
might get a good life next.
they may they good life is difficult to say, because for that one has to follow the Vedic scriptures. They will get a life where they will have a chance. Okay.
To come to Krishna consciousness.
Yes. Not to Krishna, but to dharma and all that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get into what is Krishna is trying to say. He says, the Supreme Person God, Krishna says, according to the modes of nature acquired by embodied souls, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about this. So there can be some faith which is in goodness, passion, or ignorance. So goodness will be, some saints who are not, who are, who are following good things, but they may not fully come to the conclusion of Krishna and all that. Like there are some saints, and people follow that, and they are in mode of goodness. Like they won't break four regulative principles and all that. Then there are some in passion, where some Babajis and all that, they will be in out of one will only approach them for material pleasure and material money and all that, right? And ignorance will be where the end result will be madness. They'll worship some Babaji, and then they will do some tantra, alcohol, and eat meat and all that. So that is that. So the result of that will be, result of ignorance will be madness. Result of passion will be misery. And result of goodness will be, there will be some good in them. Okay. So if somebody is following some so-called sage who is not in the parampara, who's not in the four Vaishnava parampara, but then his teachings and everything will be good, then it is goodness. Then he will grow according to that mode. Okay. Let's get into the purport. Anyone wants to read this?
Yes, Prabhuji, shall I read?
Yeah.
Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually since the living entity is in contact with material nature. He acquires different types of mentality according to his association with material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance of goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person being elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Hare Krishna.
So according to the modes that he has acquired, right, he will get attracted to those kind of worship. And if it is not demigod worship, then it will be some Babaji worship, right? And if the Babaji is kind of having good ethical moral principles, then they will also follow. Like there are some so-called saints and sages, right, where people follow, and they are still good people, right? Have you seen such things?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes. And then there are some Babajis who are passionate, where everything is only for money.
Money.
Yeah. Like because of that Babaji, my family was saved, I got this money and all that. So very passionate dealings are there. And ignorance is where there is meat eating, alcohol and all that. So they will slowly grow from ignorance to passion to goodness, and then in goodness they get an association of devotee, and then they'll become devotees. Actually, devotee association can happen in ignorance also and passion also, and they can take the journey from there also. Okay, we read this thing, right?
But we should have a
Huh.
bona fide spiritual master. With him only, with the association of him only, he can become. Supposing if a person is in ignorance or passion, then he should have a bona fide spiritual master, no Prabhuji. Then only he can come to the goodness.
See, mode of goodness is is an atheist can also cultivate. Okay, mode of goodness atheist can also cultivate.
Hmm.
What it says is he will have some knowledge, happiness, a sinless life. A sinless life is mode of goodness.
Hmm.
So that anyone can do, no? And he doesn't need to be a theist. He doesn't need to be a devotee and all that. There are many people who don't worship God and all that, but they live very a life which is free of, they don't break moral and ethical principles. You getting?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So that's how they remain happy, and they are kind of good people in the society.
But for them, what God will give them for next life and all. Supposing if a person doesn't believe in God, but he follows all these four principles, that is from all this
Yeah. Right.
meat eating and all, then
See Krishna in the 8th chapter he tells, right, anta kale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. That will apply to everyone, devotee, non-devotee. So what happens is throughout their life, what is the consciousness they are developing, and then they will remember that, and then they will be directed in their next life.
Prabhuji, what about those who don't believe in idol worship? Don't keep any, don't do any pujas.
that is what I was saying.
Yeah. So Mataji, what happens is at the time of death, what is their consciousness? Depending on that, they will get the next birth.
Janma.
Yes.
I know. So such people, they won't remember God at the time of death.
Yeah. Yes. So the thing is, there are three types of heaven. There are three types of heaven, which is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. One is a heaven which is where demigods reside. Another one is a heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Achha.
So earth is not just this earth, but it is expansive. Okay, I will show you. Then there is a heaven in lower planets. Okay, so demigods reside here. Definitely a Vedic follower will go. Vedic follower who believes in demigods, then only he will go, right? Vedic follower, goodness, they only will go. Pious. And those who are pious, but their goodness and all that, they may get to this heaven. And those who are pious, but they are very materialistic, they may get to this heaven, lower planet. Like that it is. So it is not just one heaven. There are three heavens. And yeah, let me show you. Okay. I will share a video also. You can see the video, and then you can understand how is the world. Vedic cosmos. Okay. So this is one universe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So on this earth, there is one heaven, then there is Swargaloka heaven, and then in Atal, Patal, Sutal, there is another heaven. Like that, there are three heavens. And depending on the three modes, they will go. If it is passion, right, they may stay in that Bhulok only. and they may go into that kind of this thing, heaven. So I have this video. I will share this video. Okay,
Okay.
I'll share this
Okay.
video. You can look at this video. It will give more cosmos thing.
Okay.
Okay. So we will move forward.
Hmm.
We read this. Okay. Third, no? O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living entity is said to be at a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So that faith is also in mode goodness, passion, ignorance. Okay.
Hmm.
Everyone has a particular type of faith regardless of what he is. But his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired. Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain person. Okay, if somebody is in goodness, right, he will like people who are in that goodness.
Hmm.
If they are talking about ethical, moral principles, yeah, this, that, then
Yeah.
they will like to associate with that. You're getting?
Yes.
But if somebody is like too much materialistic, then they will like to hear, hey, where this Babaji is there. One person went and he got all his money back, and his what is that, illness went away. Then they will go there. And then
Hmm.
there are some who are like, okay, I get to follow this religion. Babaji is there. He tells I can take alcohol and I can take meat on certain day. I will go and associate with that person.
Hmm.
Like that it is. So this is how they are moving. Some faith they have. They understand that there is God, but they don't want to know who is it. So they will go to somebody, whom they think is having some power. But the real fact is that every living entity, as stated in this 15th chapter, is originally fragmental part of Krishna. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all these modes. But when he forgets his relationship to Krishna and comes in contact with the material nature in conditioned life, he generates his own position by association with different varieties of material nature. This resultant artificial faith and existence are only material. Although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life, originally is nirguna or transcendental. So originally soul is also nirguna, but he comes in contact with this guna and becomes that particular guna. Therefore, one has to cleanse of the material contamination he has acquired in order to regain his relationship with Supreme Lord. That is the only way back without path, without that is the only path back without fear, Krishna consciousness. So if he gets Krishna consciousness, then he can go back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, one will keep moving from one organization to another, depending on his faith. We see such people, right? Some are good people, but they will go to such organization where they don't talk about God, but they want to live very good life. There are many organizations like that. There is no temple, nothing, but they'll sit and do meditation, om or soham and all that they'll do, right?
Hmm.
So like they're good people, but not devotees. That is, they have that kind of faith. The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this word. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of mode of goodness. One's faith may be in demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness, but in the material condition of life, no work is completely purified. They are mixed. They are not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. So there is goodness, and then above that is pure goodness. Pure goodness is only in bhakti. In purified goodness, one understands the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the real nature of Krishna? Bhagavan.
Sachitananda.
Sachidananda Swarupa
Vigraha.
Vigraha.
Vigraha. He is
Vigraha.
Bhagavan, and we have our relationship with him.
Yes.
As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subjected to contamination by any of the modes of the material nature. So if one doesn't have that conception of Krishna, he will have conception of something else. The contaminated modes will direct him, influence him to have that kind of faith. Like sometimes some people say, oh, the lamp is God. He's like energy. He's like the sky and all that. So we understand these are good people, but right now they're having that kind of faith. The contaminated modes of material nature expand to the heart. Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. So the heart is placed. So where the heart is placed is called faith. And if the heart is not pure and it has placed its heart somewhere, then that faith is, contaminated. You are getting this?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Just like, I'm giving a very crude example. A boy and a girl, they fall in love with each other. So there is where their heart is placed. My heart is placed in his, and my heart is placed in her. And parents are telling, don't marry, don't marry. But that mode of passion is taking them away, and they have placed their shraddha on each other. Right? Now, if that shraddha is in mode of goodness, then they will try to explain their father, mother, we want to marry each other and all that. We will remain committed to each other, like that. They will show that commitment. They'll say, I won't marry somebody. And for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they won't marry. Then ultimately parents will say, okay, you marry. But if say their faith is in mode of passion, then what will they do?
They will break.
They won't break, they will run away. They'll run away and marry. They'll say,
Ignorance,
father,
they
mother,
will
get
break
up.
up, Prabhuji.
Huh?
In ignorance, they will break up.
Yes, in ignorance they'll break
In
up.
mode of
They'll break.
In mode of ignorance, it will be madness. They may try to kill their parents.
Oh my
oh
God.
my God.
Yeah.
They commit
Because it has to
suicide.
be madness, right? It has to be madness. Or they may kill each other also.
Yeah.
प्यार में मर गए, so like that. So very interestingly I told this. So what happened in one of the community in ISKCON in New Zealand, it so happened that a devotee, devotee families, they were coming to temple and all that, and their boy and girl got in so called this love tangle, and it went ahead, and the girl got pregnant.
Ayyo.
Oh.
And then that time Devamrit Maharaj was there in New Zealand in that community. So the devotees came and they told Maharaj, this thing happened, Maharaj, now what to do? Maharaj said, now what to do? We have to get them married. That is the best thing.
Hmm.
Okay. So they were from a Gujarati family, that both. So they said, okay, let's marry and all that. Then after some days they again came back to Maharaj and they said, no, we cannot marry. Maharaj said, what happened now? They said, the family said, no, see, Maharaj, we both are Gujaratis, that is fine. But the boy's family is actually Brahman family and the girl's family is Shudra family. How can we marry, Maharaj? Then Maharaj made a very nice statement. He said, if the boy is Brahmana, he would have never impregnated the girl out of wedlock. Because a Brahmana's quality is to be in mode of goodness. He would have only done that after marriage.
Hmm.
And then the devotees understood, all this caste system, is not working. They are also, it is so called Brahmana only, but actually they are Shudra. Then they got married. So like that, according to the modes, the whole thing will work. Same thing, like I talked about this so-called boy and girl love and all that. But in case of spirituality also, the person will move like that only. You tell him, you give him Bhagavad Gita, they'll say, no, Bhagavad Gita. I want something else. Mode of goodness. Then he will go to some impersonalist and some philosophical class and he say, I like that. And if we tell worship Krishna, they'll say, no, Krishna, I want something, demigod. I want Ganapati, or I want some Babaji Maharaj. People are going there and he slaps them and their problems are solved. Huh? And then third will be ignorance. He said, I don't want this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and all that. I get my bottle of alcohol over there in my satsang. So like that, according to that fate, that will go. But if they get in contact with devotee, like hippies, you know, hippies got in contact with Prabhupada and they became devotees. Then from mode of ignorance, they directly came to mode of goodness and they became devotees. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining in this purport again and again. Okay. Okay. Any question?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask. They say that it is given in this purport that soul is nirguna. It
Yeah.
doesn't nirguna. Then, but they say that I've read that it has all the quality. We are qualitatively one with God. Whatever Krishna, whatever
Yeah.
good qualities he has, all the qualities are there, but in very minute quantities.
Yes. Yes.
Then, are they not gunas, Prabhuji? Then?
No, no, no. This guna means material qualities. When the
Okay.
word guna is used, it is mostly, material qualities.
Okay, okay.
And for spiritual quality, it is Satchit Ananda Vigraha.
Hmm.
There are only three
Only
spiritual qualities: Sat, Chit, Ananda.
yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. And this guna
Okay.
is material qualities, where coming in contact with matter and then experiencing the duality, happiness, distress, limited senses, uh, knowledge is not there. Then these are the gunas.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Thank you,
And
Prabhuji.
see, even if the soul is qualitatively one with Krishna, right? Still the soul has a tendency to take shelter because it is not that powerful like Krishna. Krishna is the one who is the giver of shelter, so he doesn't require shelter. But the soul is small, right? So it requires shelter. Just like the baby has all the qualities of father and mother, but the
Yes.
but the nature of the baby is what? To take shelter, right?
Hmm.
The moment the baby goes in somebody's hand, what does the baby do? It will cry and come back into the
Will
shelter of
cry.
father and mother, right? So the
Yes,
soul is
yes.
like that. But if the baby gets distracted, some lollipop or something is shown, then the baby goes away. Right? And
Okay,
that's how
Prabhuji.
some children they get kidnapped because somebody showed
Mhm.
some, they gave them biscuit and all that, and they could run away, right? So
Yes.
the child has the tendency to take shelter. But if the child is in mode of passion or ignorance, then they can be cheated. But if the
Hmm.
child is in mode of goodness, then the child will know I don't have to talk with strangers.
Hmm.
See, when does the child talks with strangers? When they are in more passionate mode. I want that, I want that. Then whoever is ready to give, they'll go there. Right?
True, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So goodness is where they will know what is right, what is wrong. Like that.
Okay.
So the soul is also like that. When it comes in contact with this matter, right, it will take shelter of that particular mode and all that. So either the soul takes shelter of Mahamaya or Yogamaya. Yogamaya is spiritual energy, Mahamaya is material energy. And when it
Material
comes in
energy.
material energy, then the three modes act: goodness, passion, ignorance act.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
It should be understood that if one's heart is in mode of goodness, his faith is also in mode of goodness. If the heart is in mode of passion, his faith is also in mode of passion. And if the heart is in mode of darkness, illusion, his faith is also contaminated. Thus we find different types of faith in this world, and there are different types of religion due to different types of faith. Okay, so this is the answer why there are different religions. Because the heart, people have placed their heart in something, you know influenced by that mode. So there are different types of religion. Then there are different types of rituals and all that. They will create their own rituals. The real principle of religious faith is situated in mode of pure goodness. But because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles. Thus, according to different types of faith, there are different kinds of worship. So men in mode of goodness worship the demigods. Men in mode of passion worship the demons. And those in mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirit. See? We see such people, right?
Hmm.
Like mode or passion, they will worship demons. In sense, they may worship some man. Like, there is the temples of Amitabh Bachchan or Sachin Tendulkar or somebody.
They'll be praying to them.
Yeah. So like that. Then they worship ghost and spirit. This will be in the crematorium and smashan and all that.
Prabhuji, in Bangalore, Malaysia, Prabhuji, there is a theatre called Natraj Theatre. There, Rajinikanth movie came, and then they started pouring milk on his
I know
portrait.
it.
Yes,
Full of
yes.
milk,
People worship him as God, no?
Actually,
Hema.
I'll tell you one more. There sometimes this famous actor dies, right?
Hmm.
I know.
Then few people also commit suicide.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. So
So when
crazy,
this
yeah.
Rajnikant, when he whatever happens to him, we may see such news
Yes.
because
Few heart
people
attacks
are,
also, Prabhuji.
right, because people are
Few
carried
heart
by
attacks.
passion. Na? There'll be some
They get
madness, there'll be
attached.
misery and all that.
They
Prabhuji,
get
one
attached
doubt.
to them, no, Prabhuji. That's why they do that.
What?
They get attached to them so much that they start
Yeah.
believing them as real
See,
people.
ultimately, everyone is looking for Krishna. Everyone wants that person who is beautiful, most powerful, most knowledgeable, most renunciate, right? Most wise,
Hmm.
all famous. And if somebody is having little bit of it, as now the soul will think this is Krishna, this is Krishna.
Hmm.
Prabhuji,
Huh.
it's given here, men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. But actually, men in the mode of goodness worship Krishna, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Uh, See, worshipping Krishna, it can be of two types. Like, mode of goodness, definitely, when the demigods, right, they may worship Vishnu also.
Hmm.
Okay.
But that Vishnu worship is out of, some duty. It is not out of love. It is not out of devotion. There is some devotion in it. Like Krishna says, Manmana Mad Bhakto, pay obeisances to me, chant my holy name. So they'll do that. But their bhakti is only limited to that.
Hmm.
It is not, so it is not uninterrupted, unmotivated bhakti. If something
Okay.
bad happens to them, they may give up that worship.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? So that kind of happens. Okay. In this verse, the Supreme Personality describes different kind of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunctions, only Supreme Personality Godhead is worshipable. So only Krishna is worshipable. But those who are not conversant with or faithful to the scriptural injunctions worship different objects according to their specific situation in the mode of material nature. See, I always give this example of children because we can easily see the modes working in children very easily, right? Very, very vividly we can see. Like, the children imitate. They may play with mud and they will say this is food,
Hmm.
right? So like that, that mode is forcing them and they are making it believe this is what is food, but actually that is mud,
Hmm.
right? Plastic food they will give, they'll cut it and they'll give mummy take. So the real fruit is there, real subject is there, but still, that mode is making them work in that way that, they'll consider this plastic also food. So if they are not conversant, if they are not faithful, then they will do something else. And that's what we see people. There's so many organizations and so many babajis and all that. This is the reason. The three modes are directing them. So those who are situated in goodness generally worship demigods. The demigods include Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Sun God. There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a demigod for a particular purpose. Similarly, those who are in mode of passion worship the demons. We recall that in Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he amassed a
Ah,
large amount of wealth by dealing in black market. Similarly, those in the mode of passion and ignorance select a powerful man to be God. and thinking that anyone can be worshipped as God and the same results will be obtained. Now it is clearly described that those who are in mode of passion worship and create such gods, and who are in mode of ignorance in darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship in the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is considered to be in mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts, and we have seen that in India, the lower caste people sometimes go to forest and they have knowledge that a ghost lives in the tree. They worship that tree and offer sacrifices.
Hmm.
Hmm? Even in the West, also such things happen. They worship the demons and all that, black magic and all. These different
Halloween,
kind,
Prabhuji, Halloween.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Halloween.
yeah, yeah, yeah. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. God worship is for persons who are transcendently situated in pure goodness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.3.13, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. When a person is in pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. The purport is that those who are completely purified of the material modes of nature and who are transcendently situated can worship the Supreme Personal Godhead. The personalities are supposed to be situated in mode of goodness. They worship five kinds of demigods. So when they're in mode of goodness, they worship five kinds of demigods, and they worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world, which is known as philosophized Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Supreme Personal Godhead, but the impersonal is because they do not ultimately believe in the Supreme Personal Godhead. Imagine that the Vishnu form is just another aspect of impersonal Brahman. So they may worship Vishnu, but they will think that this is impersonal Brahman. They don't think that Krishna and all that, 200 form, 400 form, these are eternal. No, they'll just think this is just a Brahman. That's it. They'll imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mode of passion. And they will think like that. Thus, they sometimes describe five kinds of worship that are worshipable, but because they think that actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose all the worshipable objects at the ultimate end. In conclusion, there are different qualities of material modes of nature and can be purified through association with persons who are of the transcendental nature. Now, if they come in contact with devotees, they will advance in Krishna consciousness. Those who,
Prabhuji, I have a doubt, Prabhuji.
yeah,
Prabhuji, people who worship forefathers, so which mode they come under, Prabhuji? Like in house also you
passion,
see like
passion,
Ancestors,
they
passion,
uh,
passion.
ancestors,
okay, okay,
Yeah, they desire to go to Pitralok,
ancestors.
ancestor, where my ancestor is, and Pitralok is also kind of heavenly planet, and they like to go there. You know,
okay.
yeah, we devotees want to go where Krishna is there.
Hmm.
Krishna Loka.
Yeah, Krishna Loka. So sometimes we don't even understand why these people are worshipping whom they are worshipping, right? Because we have so much proof why to worship Krishna that everything looks failure, when we look at them.
Hmm.
Like that. Those who undergo severe austerity penance is not recommended in scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, usually what any puja, any performance we do know, we always pray Ganapati, Ganesha to remove the obstacles, right,
Yes.
Prabhuji? But we say that Ganesha is also demigod. So
Okay.
what is this thing that we have to do? Should we pray first Ganesha and then go for this thing? How to go for it? Or to go
So,
for
so in the spiritual world, there is a there is Krishna in the form of Vivakshena, and that same Vivakshena in the material world becomes Ganapati.
okay.
So in the spiritual world, so we should see that Krishna
Hmm.
is the one who is removing obstacles,
Yeah.
and Ganpati
Okay.
is the one who is taking mercy from Krishna to remove that obstacles.
Hmm.
So Ganpati is
He's
actually a
taking.
devotee. So sometimes we say to devotees, "Na, please pray for me."
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we should pray to Ganapati saying, Yat pada pallava yugam giridhaya kumbha dvande pranama samaya ganadiraja vignan vihantu manasa jagatrasya govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. I am worshipping Govinda, and in worshipping Govinda, there are many obstacles
Hmm.
in my life, material, spiritual. Please remove them. So what is the intent, what is the purpose is more important than the worship itself. like like
Yes.
a mother may give food to the son, and a hotel person may also give food to a son, but there is a difference of the whole intent. Like the mother's intent is out of love,
Yeah.
and the purpose is, you nourish it, eat nicely, be healthy. But in the hotel, what is the purpose?
To get money.
You whether eat it or don't eat it, you have to pay it,
Pay for
right?
it.
So the action is the same, giving food, but the intent gives different results. So the intent is very important. Okay, more than the action, the intent is very important. um, so again, fasting and all that, they do for some ulterior purpose. This is what Prabhupada is also explaining here. The intent decides what and where it goes. Okay, someone wants to read?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Only the highlighted one?
No, read the whole thing.
Okay. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance. One second, Prabhuji. I'm not able to see the screen. Prabhuji, I don't know, but my screen disappeared, Prabhuji. Someone else can
Shall I
read.
read? Shall I read?
Okay,
Yes,
go
Mataji.
ahead.
I'm not able to see.
Okay, thank you. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural directions. The scriptures recommend fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Persons who take to such austerities are, according to Bhagavad Gita, certainly demoniac. Their acts are against the scriptural injunctions and are not beneficial for the people in general. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment for material enjoyment. By such activities, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself living within the body. Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the Vedic literature.
Just
A
wait.
demon-
So these politicians and all that, they do such unauthorized fasting and austerity, right? It is not
Yeah.
recommended. So what is recommended? They may ask, okay, what to do then? If you don't do this hartal,
Hmm.
then what to do? What is our recommendation?
Sincere,
Whatever the
sincere.
days Vedic scriptures recommend, like Ekadashi fasting, they can
No, that
do,
is
or
fine. They are
Sankarshan
saying
fast.
our purpose, we are
is
using fasting
that is for their
to,
political gains,
yeah.
Prabhuji.
And if we tell them don't do that, do it only for religious people, okay, they'll say that. Then they may say, okay, then how do we get, what we are trying to do? Like, how do they achieve their goal then?
Then distribute.
Negotiating, Prabhuji, negotiating.
Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Talks,
exactly.
talks.
Exactly. So we should tell them that instead of doing this, you should do diplomacy, negotiation, you should do something else, but not this. Not this
Hmm.
fasting and austerity. This is
Hmm.
only meant for the religious purpose. Getting?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
if they are
Prabhuji.
fighting for some freedom and all that, they should fight in a different way, but not through this fasting.
Like Mahatma Gandhi did.
Yeah, it is actually not recommended.
Recommended.
Yeah, it's not recommended. It's against the principle. This fasting and all that. It is troubling the body, right? So when it's troubling the body, this body is given by Krishna. So we are troubling it for what purpose? Political end. Well, Krishna says only do for Ekadashi. That is the only time you trouble the body. But then they trouble the body for various reasons. Then Krishna is saying, why are you doing this crazy thing? right? So this is what is Krishna's logic, and therefore our thing is okay. For political end, you go for the way the politics is. You don't use the religious ways to achieve political ends. That is our argument. Okay. Okay. Continue. A demonic person.
A demonic person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desire by this method, but sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are enacted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions.
Yeah. So
The
actually, it's an insult. So it is a big problem. It should not be done.
Actually, even Prabhupada went and told Mahatma Gandhi not to do all these things, no, Prabhuji?
Yes. Yes. There are letters
Mm.
to Mahatma Gandhi. Go ahead.
The word asetasaha is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people as described in the previous chapter. The Lord foresees them to take birth in the wombs of demonic persons. Consequently, they will live by the demonic principles life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme good. Hare Krishna.
See, the hippies were living like that. They would give up their house and all that, and they were living in the mountains and under the trees and all that. So when they met Srila Prabhupada, some of them became devotees. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. So, after becoming devotees, many years being devotees, they asked Srila Prabhupada, how it is possible that, we could get this Krishna consciousness? We don't think we have that qualification. Then Prabhupada said, I gave that qualification to you. Like that it is, I gave that qualification. Like, there may be an orphan. Now, if someone adopts that orphan legally, that orphan automatically becomes the legal heir of the person of the parents' property, right? That very moment he becomes, right? So the orphan qualification, it didn't have that qualification, but the parents gave that qualification. Getting? Similarly, Prabhupada, the pure devotee, gives that qualification. Okay. Next. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds. Now the three modes, they influences in our food, they influence in sacrifice, austerity, charity, everything. All activities. This whole we have a big list. It influences everything. Thinking, feeling, living, walking, running, every activity is three modes, that it is pushing us. Understanding, determination, happiness, worship of Krishna. Even bhakti will also be influenced by the three modes. Interestingly. Okay. 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 Can someone read this purport?
I can read, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay, read Mataji, read. Continue.
Uh, in terms of different situations in the modes of material nature, there are differences in the manners of eating and performing sacrifice, austerities, and charities. They are not all conducted on the same level. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performance are in what modes of material nature are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or food or charity to be on the same cannot discriminate. And they are foolish. There are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection. But these foolish guides are not acting according to the directions of the scriptures. They are manufacturing ways and misleading the people in general.
Okay. So if somebody is not acting according to the direction of scripture, they are just simply misleading the people. They're manufacturing the ways. Okay. Um, in the next, right, the food in three modes are discussed. Sacrifice in three modes are discussed. Austerity in three modes are discussed. Charity is discussed in three modes. And the conclusion. So let's open up for some question, comment. Any questions, any comment?
Prabhuji, one question I have,
Yeah.
not related to like what we have read today, but it's a general question. I mean, like sometimes we feel that we are struck at a point in devotion.
Okay.
We are not progressing. So,
Yeah.
how to identify the reason? How to fix it, Prabhuji?
Sure.
I mean, like,
Yeah, I understand your question. So the thing is, so these are the set of prayers that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadava Nirvapanam. You know these prayers,
Yes,
Mataji?
Prabhuji. Mm.
Yes, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So how to understand is we have to read this prayers and we have to analyze where are we. Are we chanting in the mood of humble state of mind? Are we still desiring wealth, beauty, number of followers? Okay. So that is one way. And then the solution is that okay, the solution to advance in Krishna consciousness. That's what the question you are asking, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Chant more, you know, chant more on Ekadashi, like that, yatras.
Okay.
The more we take shelter of holy name, the best it is. In the holy dhams and all that, we chant more and all. Hmm? Now, when I'm telling you this, we have to adjust our life. Sometimes we cannot adjust our life, so we have to, we may not be able to chant more. Then we have to chant at least sincerely. Chant 16 rounds sincerely, or whatever rounds you are doing, you chant it sincerely with prayerful mood. You pray to Krishna. Second thing is, the most important thing is serve devotees and advanced devotees personally or through their instructions. Like, we serve Prabhupada by following his instructions, by doing book distribution, by reading his books. And then we serve other devotees also. Prasadam serving, other things, whatever services devotees.
Prabhuji, actually, what you know, while chanting, I get lot of deviation from this thing, lot of thoughts and everything come. While reading books, Prabhupada's books like Ramayana, Krishna, Prabhupada's book, or while reading all these things, my mind completely focus on that.
Okay, in that cases, it is recommended that you read Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita before you chant.
Okay.
So like 15-20 minutes or half an hour you read and then you do chanting.
Mm.
If that is helping, that yes. For some, the Brahma Muhurta time is good for chanting. And for some who's not possibly all these things, they should still chant sincerely. They should try to hear the holy name and they should pray that let me chant sincerely. Krishna, please engage me in your service. The prayerful mood is very important. Then read Bhagavatam, Krishna book, Bhagavad Gita, like we are doing. So the thing is now, okay, yeah, these are the main things, no? Chanting. There are five things, no? Yatra and all that, yatra and okay, yatra. Um, so yeah, so the solution is to increase all these four activities. Okay, Mataji.
Mm.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Now,
Prabhuji,
now the question is, what is the real advancement? Okay, these are activities. Real advancement will come with intent in heart. Okay, we should remember that real advancement in bhakti will always come with the intent in heart. It won't be the external activities. Okay, our external activities Krishna will see, but he will see our heart also. So how should be the heart? If I ask you this question, what should be our heart?
Should be pure.
Pure, Prabhuji.
Pure.
Pure and free from material
Yeah.
contamination.
Okay. So actually, whether contamination is there or not there, the heart should be in the humble state of mind.
That we should be just like a sort of a dust in the on the street, like that we should be.
So we should be humble, tolerant, and offering respect. And we should serve in the mood of what? Boss on a boss?
Yeah, servant of the servant of the
Servant of the servant. Okay, so we do the above activities with this in our heart. And real advancement will be when we are having this intent in heart. Okay, and our advancement won't be like external, like devotee will come and touch our feet and all that. That is not advancement. Our advancement will be how much humble we are in difficulties, in happiness, how much equipoised we are, and we are still continuing our Krishna consciousness. That is real advancement. Okay, does that help, Mataji?
yes, Prabhuji. Like, yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
No, what is your concept of advancement? That is what is can you explain what is your concept of advancement?
No, Prabhuji.
No,
Like,
see
what?
the question is how do we advance and all that, but first we need to understand what is real advancement, because sometimes we have our own advanced concept of advancement. Our concept is that if I chant the holy name, nothing should come in our mind and all that.
We should be
That is
able
the
to
main,
relish
main aim,
the holy
Prabhuji.
name.
Mind starts wandering. The moment we
Yeah,
start chanting, the mind is
mind starts
wandering.
wandering. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the advancement is that we are still continuing to chant and we are still continuing to sincerely chant and prayerfully chant. That is
Yes, Prabhuji.
advancement.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in spite of difficulties, if we are still continuing to serve Krishna and have the desire to serve Krishna, that is advancement.
Oh, very good. Very good.
So it is not that there is no difficulty and then we are advanced. No, there will always be difficulty. Like Draupadi, she had that difficulty. Pandavas, they were always in difficult situation. So mind was always disturbed. Their mind was also disturbed, na?
Hmm.
But they still continued serving Krishna. So like that. So advancement is the intent of the heart, and it should be with the humble mood and mood of the servant, and That's the thing. And real advancement only Krishna can judge. No one else can judge this real advancement. Only Krishna can judge.
Hmm.
Another pure devotee can identify another pure devotee. A pure devotee can identify another pure devotee, and Krishna can identify a pure devotee. So somebody, so nobody is going to give us a medal or something. You're a pure devotee. No.
But Prabhuji, at least 2 years have passed since we started chanting. Still, we are in the same original place.
So the thing is, our concept of this original place and all that is very materialistic.
Hmm.
We are going to chant. So let's say you become pure devotee. Then what are you going to do?
Still continue chanting.
Yeah. So we should understand that I need to sincerely chant, and I need to chant for chanting, and I will chant for eternity.
Yes.
So when that kind of understanding coming, then we are not worried of these 2 years and 2 months and 2 minutes and 2 million years and all that.
But a lot of changes after chanting, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah. See, the change that we have
And
to see is
everything.
this thing: are we becoming humble? Are we becoming tolerant?
Yes.
Are
Yes.
we
Yes.
offering respect and expecting none?
Yes.
And are we serving devotees in the mood of the servant of the servant?
Hmm.
Then we should be happy. But if
Yes,
this thing
Prabhuji.
is not happening, then yeah, then we should be worried that somewhere we are going wrong. Then we
Yes.
should come to this barometer.
But this mind is very, very bad, Prabhuji. Horrible.
Therefore,
You know,
the holy name is even powerful. The holy name is even powerful. Okay,
it
holy
will
name is
never
powerful.
allow us to chant.
Yeah, you chant. You try to sincerely chant.
Yes.
Hmm? Therefore, we have okay, okay. Krishna gives us solution where
Yes.
he gives 12 chapter.
Hmm.
So first thing he says, yeah, 12.8. He says, just fix your mind upon me. Engage all your intelligence in me, and they will leave me in always, without a doubt. Now we are trying to do this and we are failing, right?
Yes.
So answer for is ninth. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles, do sadhana bhakti, and develop a desire to attain me. So this is
Hmm.
what we need to follow. And in this, we last time read, right? To practice four regulative principles, one should, under the guidance of the expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. Rise early, take bath, enter into a temple, offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna, collect flowers, cook foodstuffs. So when we do all these things here, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam with pure devotees, then slowly we'll progress. Okay?
Oh, very nice. Yes.
Okay. So this is our this is the verse. This is the verse for hours. Like 12.8 is our goal, but 12.9 is our
Verse
guideline.
12.9. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
read this
Prabhuji.
guideline. Krishna knows our condition, so immediately he gave one specific verse for our solution. So we have to
Hmm.
continue doing sadhana bhakti, and we have to
Okay.
do it for eternity. So don't think in terms of 2 months, 2 years, and all that.
Hmm.
There are devotees. I am also chanting from last almost 20 years.
My goodness. Is
So
it?
yeah, so my mind also deviates.
Baapre.
But then the point is not that the quantity that we do,
Hmm.
or the point is that how we are doing it. Are we doing it sincerely, prayerfully? Are we trying to become more humble, tolerant?
Hmm.
Hmm? Are we doing our sadhana bhakti in this mood? Then that is more important. That consideration should be there.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay. Very
any
nice.
other question or comment?
Prabhuji, next week class would be there, no? Yatra, because of Yatra.
Oh, okay. Yeah, next week I won't take class, but other devotee will take the class.
But
So
Prabhuji,
we
we won't